We're about to enter a new year, 2022, and I just wanted to make a quick video for anyone who's struggling with pornography addiction, something that I personally once struggled with. And I want to talk a little bit about how to manage urges and cravings to watch pornography. And I then want to discuss the pleasure that's associated with watching porn. If you're new to the channel, my name's Dr. Frank. I'm the founder of AddictionMindset Recovery Coaching, a private one-on-one coaching company that helps people quit nicotine, THC, energy drinks, and adult media content, addictions that I once struggled with. So just yesterday, I was on a private coaching call with a client of ours, and they were asking me how to deal with the urges or the cravings to watch pornography. They said, they could be in a supermarket, walk past an attractive girl, and then suddenly they have this urge to go home and watch pornography afterwards. Or maybe they're on social media, they get triggered by some type of content, maybe even fitness content involving some yoga girls or weightlifting girls, and suddenly they have a really strong urge or craving to watch pornography. And this same individual, when I asked them why they watch porn, they said that it was a source of stress relief. It provided them a high, a feeling of satisfaction, and that in turn led to sensations of stress relief. Now, something to understand about a craving to watch pornography is that it's very, very similar to a cigarette craving or a nicotine craving. The only stress that you're relieving by watching porn is the stress that was created by the craving itself, by the urge itself. So if you develop a craving to watch porn and you have to wait all day long, so you're at work, you're doing things throughout the day, that craving is building, that urge is growing stronger and stronger and stronger. And while that craving is developing, your stress levels are actually elevating. Now, you might have stress from work, you might have stress from family problems or something else going on in your life throughout the day. So then you get home, you do whatever you got to do, and then you watch porn, and suddenly you feel this overwhelming feeling of stress relief. Well, the only stress that was relieved by watching pornography was the stress of the craving or the stress of the urge. In the same way that by consuming nicotine, the only stress that it relieves is the stress of the craving for the vape or the cigarette or the dip of tobacco, whatever it may be. So it's not actually alleviating any stress. It's simply alleviating the layer of stress that the addiction caused. So the only stress that watching pornography relieves is the stress of the craving. Now, how do you get rid of cravings? How do you get rid of urges? Well, you go a long enough period of time without watching porn, and then eventually those cravings and those urges go away. For most people, it's usually around the 90-day mark. For some people, it can take up to a year. And those cravings die down, those voices, they die down. Now, there's another layer to that. In this same conversation with this individual, I asked them why they wanted to quit watching porn. And they said, it's wasting their time. They said they spend about 5 to 10 hours a week watching pornography, which isn't unusual. We often work with people who are watching porn for up to 20 hours a week. They said that it's hurting their finances. They were paying for paid content and phone sex and things like that. And they said financially it was a burden on them having to do this. So their energy was being depleted, their time was being robbed of them, and their finances were in a bad situation due to pornography addiction. And when I asked this person, I said, do you really think that porn is alleviating your stress? Or do you think it's actually causing more stress? This person had some financial trouble. They were facing a degree of debt, credit card debt and other bills and things like that. And I said, when we look at their situation, porn is actually leading to a lot more stress in this person's life. So here they are, all this stress is building up during the day because of this financial stress, relationship stress, the stress of not having the energy to perform how they wanted to in the gym because they're constantly tired. They said many times instead of working on house tasks like doing laundry and doing dishes and getting their house organized, they wind up watching porn instead. And then this procrastination leads to a delay in all these other things that need to get done throughout the day. And what we determined was that, wow, porn really isn't alleviating any of this person's stress. What would alleviate it would be saving money, watching the bank account grow, having a deeper relationship with their girlfriend, getting back to the gym, getting back to physical fitness. If they started to work on those things, their stress levels would actually go down quite a bit. But the problem is they can't start working on those things until they kick the pornography habit. So a lot of this phone call had to do with dismantling the idea that pornography relieves stress. The only stress it relieves is the stress of the craving. And the craving is developed by the continuation of watching or viewing pornography. While at the same time, pornography is actually escalating or adding onto all of the stressors that this person was experiencing in their life. Now, the other thing that I think it's important to understand is the idea of pleasure and happiness. Pleasure does not equal happiness. Someone may report that they get a certain degree of pleasure from watching porn, and to an extent that is true. There is a physiological pleasure system that occurs, right? We get serotonin hits, we get dopamine hits in massive amounts when we watch pornography. But just because we have that temporary pleasure doesn't mean that that's going to result in joy or happiness. And in the case of pornography addiction, it's actually quite the opposite. It robs us of joy, it robs us of pleasure. When we get these massive hits of dopamine from watching porn, what happens is then you go through your day-to-day life and maybe you get a job promotion, or maybe you land a new relationship, or maybe you get a bonus at work, or something really good happens. And suddenly you don't feel that excited. You're like, damn, I should feel good about this. I should feel happy about this, but I don't. And the reason why that occurs is because your brain now has a new threshold for achieving a sensation of joy or happiness or true pleasure. And that threshold is very, very high because it was set by pornography. Unless one of those activities or one of those events hits that threshold for dopamine release that pornography created in your brain, you're not going to get those feelings. You're not going to get those good feelings. And this is how porn, something that we perceive gives us pleasure, actually robs us of pleasure in our day-to-day lives, in our day-to-day activities. So I just want to remind you guys, just because something gives a perceived sensation of pleasure does not mean that it leads to happiness or that it leads to joy. If we take this individual's situation, financial trouble, perhaps they're a little disassociated from their relationship with their significant other, depleted energy levels. They talked about having back pain and neck pain and physical pain actually from watching pornography, from viewing pornography on a phone or a computer. None of those things are sources of joy, happiness, or pleasure. So I think it's really important to understand or get into the mindset that porn does not lead to any level of long-term pleasure or happiness. Now, what would lead to happiness for this person would be quitting porn, proving to themselves that they're capable of doing something that they didn't think they were capable of, rebuilding their bank account, rebuilding their relationships, rebuilding their health mentally and physically. That would truly bring different layers of pleasure to this person's life. Guys, I felt this was a really important conversation to share with everyone on the channel. If you need help in 2022 quitting pornography or any addiction, nicotine, weed, whatever it may be, please schedule a consultation with myself in our offices. We're happy to help you guys out. We want you to make 2022 a truly pleasurable and joy-filled year. All right, guys, I'll see you in a future video.